Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm very, very excited to be here with Amy tonight. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Lydia. Hi, everyone. Happy to be here.
Yeah, if you see me looking to the side, it's because I have a second screen and I want to look at Amy sometimes when I'm talking. I'm so excited about this topic. This is always a hot topic anytime I talk about GLP-1 agonists. And we had a great response to this webinar. So whether you are a current VitaminLab practitioner or new to us, welcome. And yeah, we're going to make the case for micronutrient testing in this unique patient population. Let's get a time check here. Okay, so we're right at 7 o'clock, so we can get the ball rolling. So today we're talking about GLP-1s and the importance of micronutrient testing in this unique patient population. So hi, Amy, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. So Amy Pozarka, I am a nutritionist. I've been a nutritionist for, oh my gosh, 40 years. And what I do is I oversee a wonderful team of nutritionists. We are a division of Cell Science Systems, who is the laboratory who does one of the tests that we'll discuss tonight.
Thanks, Amy. My name's Dr. Lydia. I'm a naturopathic doctor. I've been in private practice for 14 years. My background is in nutrition. I have quite an extensive formulary supplement store associated with my practice. So I've seen a lot of supplements come and go. I have quite a diverse patient population, both in ethnicity and chief concern that comes to see me. So it's a pleasure to work with VitaminLab as an account manager because I get to work with you guys. I get to work with amazing practitioners. I see Dr. Mary's with us tonight, and I love the group of practitioners that work with VitaminLab. I just feel like as a group, we're on the cutting edge. We're pushing the envelope. We're looking to solve problems for our patients. And I see that as a common theme amongst all of the practitioners that work with us. And I love CSS, the micronutrient test. It just fits perfectly with the VitaminLab portal, and VitaminLab makes it easy to formulate personalized supplements. So if you're new to us, that's really VitaminLab's jam. We take your micronutrient panel results, and then with the click of a button, you can translate that over to our portal and create a really unique product, tailor-made and personalized to that patient. And we can also brand it for you too. So I'm really happy to dive into the GLP-1s today because I feel like this is something that we need to talk about. So usually you thank guests for attending at the end of a webinar, but because this is such a pertinent topic, and I feel as though we're all learning together as a group what the impact of these medications are going to be over the long term, I'm really happy to have this discussion with you. And I do want to note that the Q&A is open. So if you have questions or comments, please chip in because I do feel like we're all learning together in this realm. Yeah, so in the latter half of 2022, in the final quarter of 2022, about 9 million prescriptions of GLP-1s were logged in sort of from an insurance perspective. So that's a heck of a lot of prescriptions, and that doesn't account for what's being compounded in compounding pharmacies. So there are millions of patients on these medications. And, you know, I know some of our practitioners, even though they want to practice other things, at times they really get bombarded with patient demand in terms of the GLP-1 agonists. So yeah, feel free to comment with your experience prescribing them if these are new for you, if you have a lot of experience with them. But what it comes down to for me as a nutrition background person and working in the field of micronutrient restoration, I can see an impending problem. And so that's why I'm very thankful for you to be attending tonight. So I kind of liken it. I was thinking about what would be a metaphor for how this feels, because it's almost like the medications are like you're sitting on a beach, like you finally solve this really difficult and trying problem. It's like, okay, we have this medication. It's sunny skies ahead. People are losing weight. Their hemoglobin A1C is coming down. Their fasting glucose is coming down. Their cardiovascular risk factors are coming down. Their lipid profiles are improved. Like things are really, really good. And I don't know if you've ever had a beach day like this where you've got everything, your snacks are there, your family's there, music is on, like everything's great. But in the distance, you can kind of see these stormy skies. And that's what it feels like for me. Like things are really good and I just want to have a sunny beach day. But in the distance, I feel like there could be some problems brewing. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight, and how we can circumvent and keep those skies sunny so that our patients tolerate these medications really, really well. But tonight I want to talk about what I'm seeing kind of off in the distance. And you can let me know if you think I'm crazy, if you think I'm right, if you think I'm wrong, like please pop it in the chat, but let's talk about it. Okay, so when we're talking about GLP-1 receptor agonist medications, what are we talking about? Semaglutide being kind of maybe the most prescribed one, I would say. So we're looking at Ozempic, which is specifically for type 2 diabetes. We're looking at Ribelsis, which is the oral version of that medication at about 3 milligrams orally, taking it daily. And we have Wegovy, which is basically a higher dose of the semaglutide. So I think Ozempic's about 1 milligram and Wegovy's at about 2.5 milligrams. So all of these medications, well, the semaglutide and liraglutide, you're going to see one version that's a little bit lower dose for type 2 diabetes. You're going to see one version that's a little bit higher dose, and that's going to be specifically for weight loss purposes. So same thing with liraglutide, that's a daily injection. We have Victoza for diabetes, and we have Saxenda for weight loss. And we have tirzepatide, Mounjaro, which is a very cool medication because that one's a GLP-1. Plus, it's also a GIP agonist, glucose-dependent insulinotropic peptide. I think I'm saying that properly. So that one, you're going to get even better hemoglobin A1C results head-to-head with Ozempic, the research shows. You'll also get better weight loss with that one over the long term. It looks like, on average, you get about 15% body mass reduction over about a year's time with Ozempic, kind of, or Wegovy. But with Mounjaro, it looks like you can get maybe like 15 to 20%. So I do feel like that one's really on the horizon as a popular medication to come because it does have increased effects, having that GIP agonist function as well. Okay, so let's talk about how they work. Incretin effect. So these are going to increase insulin in the system. And Amy had such a beautiful question for me as we were going through this presentation. And she was like, Lydia, isn't insulin a bad thing for weight loss, essentially? Like hyperinsulinemia isn't great for losing weight. So how does an increased insulin effect impact weight loss? Like how do those two things go together? And it makes total sense to me. Well, here's the thing. With these medications, you get a greater response to a bolus of food. So as opposed to your patient being kind of high insulin all day long, what you're getting is a more tempered response, a more effective response. The beta cells in the pancreas are behaving in a way that's really efficacious for them. They're kind of protected too. GLP-1s have a protective effect on those beta cells. So you do get an incretin effect, but it's not that your insulin isn't high all day long. So the way that it was explained to me. So I will say this. So part of the presentation is I have a very good friend whose husband is a #1 GLP researcher. He was published in the New England Journal of Medicine. So when I was speaking to him about this, I was like, how does this work? And he talked about it really as these medications acting like a thermostat. So when there isn't a reason for insulin to be high, you're not going to have high insulin. But when you do have a bolus of food, you will get an appropriate insulin response. So that sounds great. That's wonderful. These medications also suppress glucagon. So when we're talking about glucagon, we're really talking about how the liver releases glucose and gluconeogenesis in the liver. So we're suppressing that release of glucose into the bloodstream from the liver. Great. Okay. Blood sugar lowering effect. Good. We're slowing gastric emptying. So people are fuller longer. People are fuller with less food, so people can just eat less and be satiated, really. So that helps with caloric reduction, which will help with weight loss. It does contribute to many of the most common side effects that people would see, but it's an effect, right? People are fuller longer. The point that Sean, my friend, really wanted me to drive home with you, and I'm thankful for his advice because, again, he's quite adept at these medications, is the hypothalamic reduction in appetite. So there's central nervous system effects happening here. People don't think about food in the same way they did. People who had food cravings that were really intense that they couldn't get over, all of a sudden, they're not thinking about these foods anymore. We can see a shift in food choices. People are happy to have the salad and they don't need the high-fat dressing or the sugary dessert afterwards. They just don't think about food in the same way. So for our patients that really struggle, have that mental battle around food, which is, let's be honest, a lot of people, we're able to just help them have a more comfortable relationship with food where the cravings aren't so overwhelming and they're just not as hungry. So we're seeing about that average about 15% body weight loss in 68 weeks. This would be a rough estimate. Some people drop weight like tomorrow, and other people, it's more difficult for them. I've actually had patients who've been taking Ozempic and they have no effect. Maybe they need that higher dose from Wegovy. That's quite possible. Because a lot of doctors, I think, are new at figuring out what is the right medication here. It's also, what you have access to and what you can afford, because they can be quite expensive. But there's other positive effects to these medications that really round out the benefit of being on a GLP-1. So we're seeing a reduction in major adverse cardiovascular events. Looking over a 6-month time frame, we're looking at about 12-14% reduction in those major coronary events. So yay. That's wonderful. We're also seeing a real anti-inflammatory effect and anti-fibrotic effect, particularly in the kidneys with these medications. So they really protect the microvasculature. There's also some evidence to suggest that these medications are able to help with nitric oxide production. So we're getting vasodilation, we're getting better circulation. And so anything we can do to protect the kidneys. Sean, my colleague friend, he mentioned the fact that these medications are being studied in new trials for Alzheimer's disease. So, and I'm sure if we're impacting diabetes, markers, we're going to have less, retinopathies and things of that nature, or neuropathies. So that's wonderful, because these are, chronic kidney disease in my mind is I don't think people really appreciate their kidneys until things start going wrong. And so anything we can do to prevent these, really significant, these conditions that really significantly impact people's quality of life and our healthcare system as a whole, like, that's awesome. And again, we're alleviating the mental stress as it relates to food. Like, I can't tell you how many patients cry in my office and are just so frustrated with the weight loss journey. They've been on this journey for 20 years. They've tried paleo, they've tried keto diets, they've considered bariatric surgery, they've starved themselves, they've binged, they've hated their bodies, they've been so hard on themselves for so long. They have periods of time where they eat healthy and then they fall off the wagon, and oh, there's a new Zepbound. Okay, oh, you'll have to leave some comments about that one if you're using it. Sorry, sometimes I get distracted with the comments, but yeah, so it's very mentally taxing to be overweight. There's a huge shame response, and our system is just so hard on these people. So anything we can do that alleviates the mental stress related to food and how people relate to what they're eating is just, I'm happy to see it. That being said, in the distance, I'm kind of like, are we going to have a major health crisis here of people not having their micronutrient status be appropriate? So again, let's talk about it. So my major question when I spoke to Sean, my friend, I was like, what exactly are people not eating in order to lose this weight? Because we get really fixated on what people are eating, but there's a deficit here. There's a caloric deficit that's taking place, because these medications, I think they're very supportive of metabolism, certainly, and their anti-inflammatory function, etc. But really, their main game is caloric restriction. You eat less and you respond to food more efficaciously, but there's food people are not eating. And what is really going on here? So I texted him and I was like, do we know how much less people are eating to get these weight loss results? And this is, again, somebody who has dealt with thousands of weight loss patients and really knows this prescription. And he told me, he's like, Lydia, we don't really know. Like, originally when these medications came out, we said, people should be eating maybe less, about 500 calories or so. But I don't know about counting calories, how accurate that is. We can discuss that. But basically what he said is we just tell people to eat healthy and feel happy with life. Like, it was a very subjective response, actually, like very much like a qualitative, just try to eat healthy, whatever that might mean to you. People are going to have various definitions of what that means, and we'll come to see that. And, feel good that you're losing weight, and just really kind of don't ask too many questions about it. So, that's one take on it. But in our practices, in a functional medicine practice, we see people with micronutrient. They come to us with conditions that are associated with micronutrient deficiencies. So I don't think we can just gloss over this and just be like, feel happy with your life. Your hair's falling out. Oh, well, you're losing weight. Okay. That's not really going to work. So we're looking for the best of both worlds. How can we have people on these medications, tolerating them really well, but we make sure that they're very well nourished, because these are long-term medications. These aren't take a medication for 6 weeks, all your problems are solved, and you can come off and go on your merry way. No, you need to stay on these medications. So if that's going to be the case, you know, we don't want people on these medications for 5 years and being micronutrient deficient the whole time. Like the consequences of that could be very, very dire. So so signs of micronutrient insufficiency, we can have things like hair loss, which is very, very taxing and stressful. Like if people are they will cry in your office. People losing their hair will cry. It is very, very distressing to them. We can see exacerbations of mental health disorders, people just feeling run down, low energy, kind of dysthymic, kind of despondent, melancholy, you know, particularly if methylation defects, you really need those methyl factors in there to get your neurotransmitters going. You know, like we could see exacerbations of that. It could be severe, you know, anxiety and panic attacks and suicidal ideations, or it could be quite mild where people are just kind of bummed. We can see exacerbations of menstrual disorders. We know if women don't have appropriate magnesium and zinc, for example, they're going to have worse period cramps. We could have changes in clotting factors because gut bacteria profiles are being changed by these medications with the change in gastric emptying. So and certainly, you know, quality of life, if a woman has endometriosis or PCOS or things of those natures, like trace minerals are extremely important in those populations. Antioxidants are very important. We can see fluctuations in people's blood pressure, either too high or too low, because certainly we know hypertension is related to antioxidant status and what's the health of your blood vessels looking like. Do you have enough calcium? Do you have enough magnesium? Are your electrolytes in line? All of those things, right? And we can see exacerbations of immune related things. It could be an increase of allergies because you don't have the same polyphenol profile, antioxidant profile, or you could see an increase of just getting sick all the time. You have a kid that's in daycare and you're sick every single month with your 4-year-old who's bringing back all these infectious things and your body's just run down. So we see these types of patients all the time, and we recognize that there could be micronutrient things going on, which is why we run the CNA test. And yeah, so these are just things to look out for in our GLP-1 patients. I think we also have to remember that obesity and malnutrition go together. There's a lot of people that carry extra weight that are malnourished. And in this particular clinical review, this was just published in 2023, they found that there were many micronutrient deficiencies actually. And we know in sort of conventional medicine, I guess we could say, we're not really checking for vanadium and glutathione and those sorts of things. So this is like quite a lot of vitamins and minerals are missing here. Vitamin A, thiamine, folate, B12, vitamin D, iron, calcium, magnesium, like those, like serious deficiencies. That constellation of deficiencies is not good for a variety of functions in your body. And what they found is diets that produce the most weight reduction further put individuals at risk for worsening malnutrition. So this is just like, this in particular study was looking at how bariatric surgery patients, their micronutrient status, but there's not going to be a big difference between being on a weight loss diet to reduce weight before bariatric surgery versus being on a GLP-1, reducing calories to continue on the medication. So, and this final statement of malnutrition and micronutrient deficiencies can worsen health outcomes if not properly managed. And this is kind of a general statement because micronutrient deficiencies can impact us in quite a global way in the body. So again, what are people not eating exactly? So I took a very kind of unconventional approach, because typically when I do presentations, I'm heavy into the research. You know, I'm talking to doctors that I know. What do you think about this? Like, that's just how I work things. But here's something that I came to realize. A lot of patients, these are miracle drugs for these patients. They are happy to be on they're finally losing weight. They finally unlocked weight loss for them. They've been struggling for years and years, and they're seeing real results. The number on the scale is going down. Their pants are big. They feel good. So they're not very likely to tell a doctor or practitioner that they're having negative side effects to this medication. And that's why I went to, don't hate me, I went to Reddit. I did it, guys. I did it. The reason I did it is I wanted to know, what are people saying about these medications? What are people not telling their doctors? What are people talking amongst themselves about? So is this a scientific research study? It's not, but I read through many pages of Reddit to see what are people saying. And so I wanted to know, how many calories are people eating? What do they estimate they're eating? And so I kind of picked out what was representative of what was being said on Reddit. So again, and mind you, on Reddit, many people admitted to the fact that I'll come back to the questions at the end. But yes, muscle loss is a big one. Sarcopenia is a huge problem if your protein status and amino acid status is not appropriate. So yes, thank you for bringing that up. What are people not eating? So I went on Reddit and okay, this is what I was going to say. Many people admitted on Reddit that they don't tell their doctor the whole truth because they don't want to be taken off the medication, or they don't want their dose reduced because they're just so happy to be losing weight. So here's what people were saying. They were eating around, say, 1,100 calories. That was pretty common in the 1,000 range. So thinking about the average woman maybe needing between 2,000, 2,200 calories, maybe if we reduce that down by 500, maybe at a minute, I would say maybe like 1,500, 1,700. That can be a bit low, but maybe not for weight loss. That might be okay. But this person lost 45 pounds in 6 months. They hit their goal. So that's great. So they're definitely not going to tell their doctor that they're only eating 1,100 calories. Like, that's not very much food. And we have this person who's 40 years old at 6'6". So one can assume, statistically, this is probably a man, and he's eating 1,300 calories in the past 3 months. And, there's nothing wrong with having fasting or having low calorie days, but we have to remember this is what people are doing time and time, day in, day out for potentially years on end. This person, and this was common too, people saying, I can't really eat more than 600-700 calories a day. That is very low calorie to be sustained on. And this person's just eating pure protein. Okay, like fine. There's some people that are carnivore diet only, like maybe that works for some people, but this person is not going to be getting their fiber intake. Their phytonutrients are going to be very low. I don't know what their magnesium status would be with a diet like this that's so kind of mononutrient. And this person says their average calorie counter is around 600 now. She says, I'm struggling to eat, and I feel like I traded one extreme for the other. So we also have to think about the organ stress of no, metformin is not a GLP-1. It's not. We have to think about the organ stress of people going from, they might be carrying extra weight. They might be in the 3,000 calorie zone, and now they're swinging over to the 600 calorie zone. Like, those are extreme measures. So personally, I wouldn't feel comfortable having a patient on a 600, 700 calorie diet just for a long period of time, and nobody's checking in with their nutrients. And there's going to be millions of people like this, millions of people we can help. And we're also seeing this. We have to be honest that some people tolerate these medications, chef's kiss, like a dream. They don't have any GI side effects. They feel amazing all day, every day. Wonderful for them. But there's lots of patients that don't feel like that. So this person, I thought this was so funny. She has barf bags, and it's kind of funny in a dark way. I have a weird sense of humor. Don't mind me. She has barf bags in the car and morning sickness candies. And she says she goes through her days barfing and smiling. If I have any dentists in the audience, your poor tooth enamel, like, this woman she's just accepted that throwing up is going to be a part of her life. This person says, and again, I picked out things that were kind of representative of what was being said. This person says, I feel weak, I feel tired, I feel close to passing out when standing around. And this is just, that's just another day. I'm skinny now, but I can't stand up for longer than 10 minutes. And this person says, for what it's worth, I wish I could throw up. It would make me feel better to throw up. I feel like I have a monster inside of me. So we have these patients that don't feel well, aren't really eating. Like, nobody's going to want to eat a nutritious meal if they're considering throwing up as being a good thing. So we really have to create that safe space where our patients can come to us and tell us how they're really feeling. Because again, a lot of people said, I don't tell my doctor this. So even beyond the vitamins and minerals, like, what are people not eating? Potentially fiber, because particularly if you're gassy and you're bloated and your stomach feels full, like maybe choosing fiber-rich foods, the broccolis and the cauliflowers, that can certainly cause more gas or worsening of gas. Essential fatty acids, like, oh my God, please, we definitely need to be promoting our omega-3 status. Our branched chain amino acids, how are we maintaining our muscle mass and things of that nature? We consume collagen peptides in the foods that we eat, the animal-based products that we eat, certainly trace minerals. None of the research studies are looking into chromium or molybdenum or any of those trace minerals. We tend to stick with the calcium, magnesiums, those ones. Pre and probiotics. I'm quite sure that the gut microbiome changes significantly with these medications. And, that might not be something that we realize in the short term. And then certainly the phytonutrients that we need for our system, the polyphenols, the carotenoids, the glycosinates, which are sulfur-containing products that our liver loves so much. So, are these patients who are just eating 1,000 calories or 700 calories, are they getting variety? Are they getting a wide range of nutrients that really, are linked to a healthy diet, kind of the Mediterranean diet? We have to say food intake. I do see there's questions. We're going to we're going to address them at the end because I want to be focused when I answer your questions. The food intake recall is hard. This is another thing too. When we ask our patients what they're eating, unless they're writing it down, they really don't know. And even when they want to be their most honest with us, they still don't know, because people eat in group situations where they're picking at different foods. It's family style. They don't have their one set meal. People eat in the car, on the laptop, while they're dropping their kids at soccer practice. Like, this is very common. We have this sort of mindful, distracted eating. People binge on foods. People will tell you that they have a bowl of ice cream, but meanwhile, that was a very big bowl. It was the entire container of ice cream, right? And then the next day, oftentimes when people binge, they kind of starve themselves and they don't eat any calories the next day. We have mothers or fathers of little toddlers who think that they're having a meal, but really what they're doing is just picking the leftover chicken nuggets and cold macaroni and cheese off the plate of their child, right? And they'll tell you, yeah, I had lunch. No, you didn't. You had 2 chicken nuggets and half a bowl of mac and cheese that was congealed and cold and not even enjoyable, right? This kid's actually eating something healthy, but we have so many parents who, it's a battle every single night. They just make the frozen pizzas or whatever, and they'll have a couple slices, but they're not going to necessarily tell you that. They'll say, yeah, I ate a meal, but they really didn't. And then we have our grazers, our patients that don't sit down. They don't want a meal. They don't like a meal. They eat little bits all throughout the day. It's very hard to track food in those types of people because they eat oddly. Sometimes they eat at night, they eat in the morning, they just graze, right? They don't eat one set meal. So it's difficult to figure out what people are exactly eating in order to calculate what kind of micronutrient deficiencies could be taking place, which is what's so good about the CNA test, because it takes all the guesswork out of this. You can pick off your kid's plate, you can eat your hummus and crackers all day long. We're going to do a test and we're going to figure out what's really going on. Okay, Amy's going to talk about how it works. She's the expert here. So if you just give me a second, I'm going to bring up the CNA report. I'm so sorry, guys. I always struggle with this.
Do you need me to try to put
screen 2? Can you see that?
I could see how it worked. That your slide presentation.
Able to see the micronutrient report?
No, but if you like, I can pull mine up.
Okay, yeah, if you're able to, that would be great.
Close out a bunch of things because I don't want.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, guys. There's always some technical difficulties here. Do you have it?
I have it, but I have to see if I can share it.
I can bring it up here.
You have to make me presenter. Here we go.
Okay.
All right.
Able to see that?
Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Sorry, guys. It's always a struggle when you're going screen to screen. Okay. I think you took it off. Can somebody type in the chat if they can see Amy's screen? Or I'll share mine. Okay, here we go. Can you see that, Amy?
Yes.
Okay, really good.
Okay. All right. So as Lydia said, I'm here to kind of take you through the cellular nutrition assay that is offered by Cell Science Systems. And the CNA, cellular nutrition assays, consists of 3 tests within it. The cellular micronutrient assay, which you see here on the screen. That's the first part of the test. And then there's the redox assay and the antioxidant protection assay. So as opposed to serum testing, which is telling you When you're testing nutrients in the serum, is telling you the nutrient status outside of the cells, in the blood, and also fairly short term, what the patient has been consuming or exposed to lately. But the cell science system cellular nutrition assay is a cellular functional response test, which gives you an idea of what the nutrient status is inside the cells, where, as you know, where the nutrients do their jobs and where all of metabolism happens, all biochemistry takes place within the cells. And this is also a reflection of the nutrient status long term, about 6 to 9 months actually previous to the patient's blood draw. So again, consists of 3 tests. First, the cellular micronutrient assay. For both all of the tests here, the lymphocytes are the cells that are used in this test. So the first thing that the laboratory does when the person's specimen arrives is they'll separate out the lymphocytes from the whole blood, and then they'll add a mitosis generator to a specimen of the cells. And why they're doing that is to determine what the cellular baseline activity rate is. So every patient's cells acts as their own control. So this particular test is not compared to a sample population at all. It's always compared to the patient's baseline. So in the first assay, there are 55 specimens, 55 different nutrients on this front page here. And then, so picture this in the laboratory, 55 different specimens of the patient's cells. And to each specimen, a different nutrient will be added. So you see delta tocotrienol is added to one, MK4 is added to one, MK7, and so forth. So that's the only variable in every specimen is the addition of a different nutrient. And then they watch to see what happens to the activity of the cells, the health of the cells, the number of the cells, the mitochondria, number of mitochondria. And they're always comparing that to the baseline activity. So if you look at the key at the bottom left of this page, you see that the green area is considered the baseline activity rate of the cells, and they take that up to 109% of the patient's baseline. The yellow area is 110 to 119% of the baseline activity of the cells. And then the red area is 120% or higher. So any nutrient that was added that did not increase the activity of the cells, that's considered sufficient. It's almost like the cells are saying, yeah, we're good. We have enough of that. Yeah, we got enough. So it did not enhance the activity of the cells. But those nutrients that were added that enhanced the activity of the cells into that, 110 to 119% or 120% or above, that's a good response. But it also means that there was not enough of that particular nutrient in the original specimen. Otherwise, that effect would not have happened. It would not have had that impact. So it's almost like the cells are saying, yeah, I needed that. Give it to me. Give me more. I needed it. So then what we like to do is search for patterns in your patient's nutrient insufficiencies. And what we think is best is that you help to determine, well, what is leading to these insufficiencies before you decide on how to go about repleting them. Is the patient just not eating enough of these, which of course is quite possible? Are there gut issues, digestive issues, absorption issues? Could there be medications, of course, which is what we're talking about today? Medications that could be interfering with absorption or interfering some way. How about genetic variations that are impacting the active form of the nutrient, or the nutrient being activated in the cells, or a combination of these? So we like to search for patterns. And now I do suggest that we run this test, even, whether a GLP-1 agonist is being considered or not, because you can certainly see patterns in different nutrient insufficiencies that could be contributing to blood sugar dysregulation, insulin release, insulin sensitivity, and weight struggles. So, for example, like Lydia already mentioned a number of them, of course, but what I often think of, when it comes to insulin sensitivity, insulin release, and so forth, beta cell function, the minerals, magnesium and boron and chromium and vanadium and inositol. Inositol is another nutrient, lipoic acid. A list goes on. How about the nutrients that are important for appetite regulation? Phenylalanine, tyrosine, so forth. The nutrients that are important for detoxification, the nutrients that are important for supporting the adrenals. How about the thyroid nutrients, like I always look for iodine and selenium and zinc, iron, tyrosine. And of course, this patient happens to have good levels of those. But the point is that there are patterns that you're going to be able to search for, and you can say, this could actually be interfering with my patient's efforts for losing weight. And then, of course, after a GLP-1 is started, you certainly want to see what the nutrient status is afterwards. The other ones I didn't mention, we look for all the time. We all know the microbiome is extremely important and has an impact on all the systems in the body, including glucose regulation and weight management. There could be insufficiencies in some of these nutrients that would make you suspect dysbiosis. So all these things can be looked at even without considering the GLP-1. But certainly, if you're considering it, I would suggest doing this test before the patient starts on that, and then maybe 6 to 9 months or so as they continue to be on the GLP-1 agonist. Now, there's so much information that you could utilize from this test to connect the dots. Now, if we look at the next part of the test, which is the redox, this will be a few pages down. So the redox assay, and then this on the same page will be the antioxidant protection assay. So the first one, the redox, you see in the blue box with the 98 there. What's done here is determining what the patient's the cell's antioxidant capacity is. So as you know, we try so hard to avoid free radicals, and we avoid toxins and pollution and so forth. We eat fresh, local, and organic. We try to do that, of course, and hopefully our patients are doing the same. But no matter how hard we try, we're still coming in contact with free radicals. So we like to get an idea what the patient's the cell's antioxidant capacity is. So what's done in this particular test is they'll take a specimen of the patient's lymphocytes, and they purposely put the cells into the state of oxidative stress by challenging the cells with hydrogen peroxide. So the way you read this, and then looking at the back at the top of the page, the redox, the way you read that result is that on day 1, there was 100% of the cells. After 2 days of being incubated with the free radical generating system, which they use hydrogen peroxide, after 2 days, this patient's redox score is wonderful. They only lost 2% of the patient's cells. 2%. That's wonderful. And of course, this is the only part of the assay where it is compared to the sample population. You see in the red and the light blue, dark blue bar there, that little white diamond is the patient's 98. So you see that's really pretty darn good. You're not going to see that often. But if I'm talking to a patient who has that score, what I'm going to say is, all right, let's see how we can keep it that way. But usually what I'm saying to patients is, all right, let's see how we can make that redox score better and improve your antioxidant capacity. And that's where the next part comes in. And I think this part of the test is actually very, very cool, because you are going to be able to individualize the antioxidants that you suggest that your patient focus on the APA. All right. So where you're seeing the green and the gray and the dark green there, the way you saw in the first assay, with the far left area was the patient's baseline activity rate of the cells. The middle area, a little bit increased activity of the cells. And then the far right is a significant increase in the activity of the cells. So now what they do here is 49 different antioxidant nutrients or botanicals. So 49 different specimens of the patient's cells. And to each specimen, a different antioxidant nutrient or botanical is added. Now, the difference in this assay is the cells are in that free radical generating system. So remember that hydrogen peroxide is trying to make the cells die. So which antioxidant nutrients or botanicals not only prevented the cells from dying, but which ones actually enhanced the activity of the cells, even while they were in this hydrogen peroxide, which was trying to work against the cells. So that's why the language is protective and highly protective when we see the activity of the cells significantly higher than the patient's baseline activity. So this is actually very, very cool because, again, you can individualize the antioxidants you want your patient to focus on. I think we're all used to when patients come in and they say, oh, you know, an example that I'll get very often. For this patient, for example, coenzyme Q10. Well, coenzyme Q10 came out in the blue, and the patient might say, does this mean coenzyme Q10 is bad for me? And my answer is no, but what has made you take coenzyme Q10? And they'll say, well, I heard it was a really good antioxidant, so that's why I'm taking it. And I'll say, well, you know, for you, you might want to get more bang for your buck, and let's focus on the ones that are more protective for you. But if the patient says, oh, well, I'm taking a statin drug and that's why it was recommended for me, absolutely, there are other reasons to take coenzyme Q10. So keep that in mind, that this particular assay is telling you which ones are going to be protective against that that oxidative damage that is you know, from the free radical generating system that they'll have in the cell specimen. So here again, I would recommend that, you know, before starting the medication, you know, to get the baseline of the, you know, and do all three of these tests. And then after the patient has been on the medication as well, to see, you know, hopefully if the patient has made significant improvements in their eating habits, which of course is what you hope happens, you know, not only that they're eating less, but they're eating better, nutrient status might get better, the antioxidant status, the antioxidant capacity might get better. That's what you would hope to see. Could be like, you know, with regard to the, you know, what Lydia has shared with us, with the patients eating so little and the side effects that are being experienced, you might not see that improvement in the nutrient status in the first assay or the redox score. And I happen to wonder about with the redox score after being on the GLP-1 agonist, and with hopefully there is going to be fat loss that is experienced, right? And we know that with the GLP-1s, but the way I understand it is, the patient has to be strength training. The patient has to be eating plenty of protein. That is just it has to be able to preserve that muscle, so that the weight loss that's being experienced is fat loss. So I'm wondering though, when we are promoting that fat loss, you know, with the persistent organic pollutants that are being released from the fat storage, right? Are we going to see the effects of that, you know, in that impact on our detoxification with the nutrients in the cellular micronutrient assay? Is that status going to change? And how about the redox score as well? Is that going to decline, or is that going to get better? So I think that would be really interesting to keep tabs on this, of course, to help the patient in the best way that you can. Now, the next part of this, which I will pull up, is the
Amy, I have it up for you.
Oh, you have it? Great. Thank you. Yeah. So this is a PDF that comes along with whenever you order the cellular nutrition assay from Cell Science Systems, and you go to retrieve your patient's test results from the practitioner portal, you'll get this little PDF, right? So what this is, the way I would look at this is a start for the supplement routine for your patient. But keep in mind, this is based on the cellular nutrition assay results. And you see, for this particular patient, you know, biotin, it was included, and it tells you why, because it was insufficient in the cellular nutrition assay. The boswellia was included. Why? Because it came out to be highly protective in the antioxidant protection assay. So you'll see all this. Now, what to know here too is that the other test that Cell Science Systems offers, if you're utilizing that at the same time as this test, like the ALCAT test and or the methyl detox profile, the data from those two tests will be incorporated into this formula. So you see over on the right column where it says recommended exclusions, all that means is the reason that you'll see garlic was not included, or ginkgo was not included, or goji was not included is because this patient also had the ALCAT test on, the food sensitivity test on, and it was either reactive or those foods or ingredients or the botanicals were not tested. And in keeping with the way we suggest people implement their food sensitivity results, if something was not tested, we ask them to avoid it. And again, methyl detox, they did not include elderberry because elderberry is very high in quercetin, and this patient evidently had a COMT variant in the methyl detox profile. So now, then to take this a step further, what I think is very, very cool about this, and my team and I, with our patients, we can use and create the supplement blend from square one, from zero, by using VitaminLab. And it's very, very helpful to us. We build it because I'm sure that you all do what we do, and that's, you go to your online supplement dispensary, which of course we love those, and they're wonderful as well. You're looking for, I need this product from this company to give me this amount of the methyl Bs, and I need this fish oil, I need this one for this probiotic, and you're trying to put all these different products together. Whereas when you go to VitaminLab, you create it from nothing. But this is started for you based on the patient's cellular nutrition assay. You click on VitaminLab where it says order here, and then it'll take you to the VitaminLab portal, your account on the portal, and then you can customize the blend even further from what's already started for you. And you might decide, oh, hey, my patient's already taking this amount of, I forget what's even on here, this amount of boron, and they were still insufficient. So I'm going to increase it, because again, your patient better than the computer does, than this algorithm that's used. So anyway, Lydia will take it from here to explain how the portal works.
There was one question here that came up, Amy, that I'd be interested in you answering. Somebody asked if a patient's on a statin, if you expect the CoQ10 antioxidant to be in the green, to be like highly protective. Do you see that trend happening with people who are
no, not necessarily, but we might not necessarily, but because remember, all it's doing in the antioxidant, that's a really good question. All it's doing in the antioxidant protection assay is it enhancing the activity of the cells while they're in oxidative stress? But we might see the CoQ10 be insufficient in the cellular micronutrient assay when a person's taking a statin drug.
Interesting.
Okay. Because we know that the statin drugs deplete the liver's ability to manufacture CoQ10. So we might see that insufficient in the cellular micronutrient assay.
Good question. Thanks, Eric. We appreciate that question. Other questions that we have here, I see them. We're going to circle back to them at the end. I don't need to go into a full VitaminLab tutorial. Please sign up with us if you haven't before. Really, the problem we're solving for is you having that list of different products. And yes, you can go to FullScript or any of the companies that designs for health and you can find products. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you do want that all-in-one, you want with a click of a button, because literally what you'll do is click on that order here and it will take you over to VitaminLab. We're happy to, if you sign up with us, if you're new to us, we'll give you $100 credit so you can test out what's happening here. You can also private label. So all the money and effort that you put into branding, you can have your brand on your supplement. But what it does is it pulls from the CNA test and the antioxidant results, and it will formulate for you so that you have a supplement that you can go from, and you can order one of one. So you don't have to order big batches of stuff. This could be for a singular patient, and you're able to personalize a supplement. The future is here, guys. The future is here. So total personalized supplement, one of one. Your patient feels really heard, really seen, and we can correct for these specific micronutrients as opposed to just running this test and maybe doing a multivitamin or something of that nature. You can really zoom in on what people need, including the antioxidants. Like in this case, it was pycnogenol, the pine bark. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. And again, sign up. If you're new to us, sign up. We'll do a demo. We'll walk you through. We'll understand your practice and get familiar with, how we can help you. So thank you, Amy, for taking us through the CMA report. Okay. So this was a case study that was really interesting. And this person isn't on a GLP-1, but I want to I want to express how micronutrient deficiencies happen for people that are overweight in this case. So, and this is such a common case. Every single one of us has had this patient before. I just know it. We have this patient that comes in, they're pre-diabetic, they need to lose weight, and they're doing the right things. They're on a Mediterranean diet. They're walking, they're getting their 90 minutes of exercise a week or 150 minutes of exercise a week. They just feel like if they look at a carb, they will gain weight. Every Christmas, it's a problem. Every holiday, they binge one time on some chocolate and they just feel terrible afterwards because they know they're going to gain weight. And maybe it'll be a little bit of water weight, sure, but they just are those people. They are insulin resistant till the end of days. So in this particular individual, their carnitine was insufficient, their chromium was insufficient, and their leucine was insufficient. Leucine being a branched chain amino acid, you need that for muscle hypertrophy. Chromium, certainly we need that for our GLUT4 transporters to make it to the surface of the cell to be gobbling up that glucose. And carnitine, you need it for fatty acid metabolism. You need it to mobilize fatty acids. So this in and of itself, they were deficient in other things, but even these three things, if you're trying to lose weight, you don't want to be deficient in any of these things. So it was a big supplement for this person because they were deficient in other things, including a whole bunch of B vitamins, which you don't want to be insufficient in your Bs. That's just not a good idea. And so sorry, let me go back. This was 2021 to 2022. And we could see that they got better in these parameters, taking a VitaminLab product, taking a product. It maybe didn't have to be VitaminLab, in this case it was, but supplementing correctly, hitting the nail on the head makes a difference. So this patient was able to improve their metabolism, was able to lose a little bit of weight without a GLP-1. But the point being, if they were deficient like this before they started a GLP-1, look at this big formula here. There's a whole bunch of stuff that they were insufficient in. If they're this insufficient and they're eating a whole bunch of calories enough, like and eating a healthy diet, if we reduce their calories down to 800, 1200, 1300 calories, like how are they going to become sufficient in these nutrients exactly? It's possible they might make better food choices because it does happen with GLP-1s. So it's not impossible, but it's not that likely to reduce your food intake in half and become more sufficient in nutrients. That just doesn't, I don't know, to me, that just doesn't compute unless your food choices have radically changed, which for some people they might. You'll know your patients individually. But in this case, we were able to see carnitine move into the right place, chromium moved into the right place, and leucine moved into the right place. So really, we're off to the races here. This is good stuff. And the antioxidant protection assay. So this person started out having a lot of oxidative stress, and that's a disaster for our people that are pre-diabetic or have, a little bit high blood pressure, or their knees are a little bit sore, they're having inflammation, their neck hurts, all this stuff. It's a disaster to not have your antioxidants in a good place. And what antioxidants are you going to take? That's what I love the antioxidant assay, because all of those, there's about 40 things listed there, and all of them are good for you. So how do you know what you're going to take? And what happens is people bounce around. I have patients that 1 month they're taking quercetin, and the next month they're taking alpha lipoic acid, and the next month they're on NAC, and now they're switching to glutathione, and they're all over the map. And like, okay, that's fine. I don't know that it's necessarily like hurting themselves per se, or I'd say something, but it's not focused. They don't know what results they're getting, and it's not tailored to their body. Like to have test results like this, it just makes sense to patients. You can show them what's happening and they buy in. They're like, well, of course I want that product. I know that I need it. So to see her antioxidant status improve too, like that just warms my little naturopathic heart. I'm just always happy to see that. And like the recommended antioxidants were glutathione, which you could get an IV of that too, astragalus, and alpha lipoic acid. How would you ever think to combine those ingredients? I would never sit there and think, okay, you know what this person needs? They need glutathione, astragalus, and alpha lipoic acid. I just know that off the top of my head. How the heck would I ever know that? I would never, ever know that. So without this test, you don't know. You're hoping for the best, really, right? Which is why we're all here, and which is why we run these tests. So let's talk about the personalized formulas, because this is VitaminLab's jam. Again, you use whatever supplements you want, but if you can formulate something personalized, it's pretty darn cool. And the future is here. So you get to create something that evolves with your patient, because your GLP-1 patients, their diet is going to evolve over time. If you're going to have this patient on these medications for 5-10 years, who knows how long people are going to be on these, we can test them intermittently. You don't have to do it all the time, but maybe you do it once a year, maybe you do it twice a year, just to check in. And their supplement can evolve with you, which they're always like, wow, this doctor's super cool. No doctor has ever done this before for me, made a personalized supplement. It's very convenient. You don't need multiple bottles that run out at multiple times, and you're at Whole Foods, you're on Amazon, you're trying to figure out where to buy things. It's effective. We can address complex concerns also because alongside the micronutrients, as Amy said, you can edit those micronutrients, but VitaminLab also has a lot of digestive products. We have marshmallow root, we have aloe vera, we have zinc carnosine, we have betaine hydrochloride. So you can add different nutrients to the multivitamin so that they digest the product better. You can do ginger if they're feeling nauseous. You can add in these, you can do glutamine if you think they have intestinal hyperpermeability and you want to add it to the micronutrient. Well, now you have an amazing product. Your patient digests it well. You can help them with their digestion and you're correcting for micronutrients. They can't find that product anywhere. Good luck looking on Amazon for a product like that. You will never, ever find it. So that just improves the effectiveness and compliance, and people can digest better. They're going to be so happy. And it creates connection, because when you're making something special for a patient, really personalized and unique, and you're taking the time to run these tests and you're taking the time to really care, you know, a patient comes into you and they're feeling kind of depressed, or their hair's falling out, or their nails are breaking, or their blood pressure's like this all day long. You're like, you know what, let's do a deep dive here. You're not doing Band-Aid solutions. You're like, okay, let's take it a level further. Like, I really care about what's happening for you here. So patients feel really, really valued and heard when you create something personalized for them. Like, sometimes I hear my patients, when I personalize something, I hear them talking. Like when I'm in my office, I can hear them because we have a big store. And sometimes if I pick out herbs for them and compound a little product, I can hear them talking about, oh, you know, Dr. Lydia picked out these herbs exactly for me, you know, and I can just tell we're all the same. It's not like, I'm not saying it, like, I feel great when somebody personalizes something for me. Like, I like that. So, you know, it just is a great way to create connection. And it can benefit your practice. Not sure why this image isn't showing up. We're just technical difficulties. That's just every single presentation. It creates revenue for you. We pay you for, obviously, you're sending business our way. You get a cut of the business that you send our way, 25% on any formula. It's convenient. You can see with the click of a button, you can order here, go over to VitaminLab. You have a product there for you, so you don't have to sit there for 45 minutes and think about all these different supplements and how you're going to piece them together. It's exclusive. You can offer something that patients cannot find on Whole Foods, CVS, Walmart, Target. Like, they can't find these products anywhere else. So it's all you, because it's your work. Oftentimes you do the work of prescribing and then they go somewhere else and buy their supplements. No. I'm sorry. No, you did the work to prescribe for them. You did the work to run the test. You deserve to have your label on that product. Send it to your patient. It's all a thing. It's a thing. And when they run out of that product, they should think, I should go see Dr. Lydia again because she personalized this product for me. It's flexible. So again, we have over 200 different, I think we're at 250 ingredients right now. So you're not beholden to any one product at a certain dose. You can get creative if you want to, and I really love it when we do. And we see better compliance. When we did our survey amongst our practitioners' patients, we see 30% better compliance because you're not so darn tired taking 18 bottles of different stuff, right? So we see better compliance as well, which is nice when patients do what we ask them to do. Yay, love that for us. So my question to you is, can we work on case studies together? Can we do this together? Because we're all running the tests. We all have patients on GLP-1s. Again, I'm learning alongside you guys are learning. So if you have a case that you're like, you know what, this really did help or this didn't help, either way, I please reach out. I'm all ears in terms of what your experiences are with these tests and with our products. And let's get some case studies together. Let's spread the word about micronutrient testing and how important it is in this patient population and why we're doing it. Because right now, a lot of people are prescribing these medications. Even people that don't want to be prescribing these medications are prescribing them, right? Pharmacies have them. A lot of different practitioners have them. So this is also a way to differentiate yourself, to step aside a little bit and be like, you know what? Yes, I'll do the GLP-1 agonist. I'm nothing wrong with that, but I'm elevating my service a little bit because I really care about the long-term impacts on you. And I want to make sure that you're well nourished, that you're nourished. You can produce neurotransmitters, you can grow hair, you can repair your joints, your immune system isn't out of whack, you have appropriate antioxidant status. Really, really, I think it's a powerful message, and I hope that we can work together on this. So yeah, if you're not signed up with VitaminLab, hello, this is your call. Get signed up with us. You can do a demo. You've basically nothing to lose. If you don't like us, don't work with us. You don't have to. But we solve the problem of you having multiple bottles of different things going on when you look at your results. And we're NSF GMP certified lab, super, super clean. We're up to standards with everything. There's no fillers in any of your products. Byproduct, you want to know where something comes from, we can tell you. So we'll get all of that into a demo. We're willing to, if you're new to us, you get a standard $100 credit. Anybody that currently works with us will get the $100 credit. So you get that too. But anybody that's attending, we're going to throw in an extra 25 bucks. So you can try out our product first, see how you like it. Again, you have nothing to lose, everything to gain. And yeah, Amy, do you have anything to add? Amy, are you with me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. No,
okay.
No, I just think that it being able to customize a blend is just a game. It was a game changer for me, for my team. You know, and I feel that the customer service at VitaminLab is just, you were all extremely helpful. And what I appreciate as well is, you know, when there are certain nutrients that we need, that VitaminLab has not yet carried, you know, when we first started working together, you know, they're so accommodating. They, you know, did the research and they've got the nutrients, you know, that we have suggested. So I think it's a win-win. And like you said, patients love when they see the name on the bottle, you know, the custom blend.
I love that.
It's really nice.
We're all the same.
And they appreciate just using that one product, you know, and opening it up. Yeah. Now, of course, the pill count and the amount of powder, if you're using powder, is going to be different depending on the formula. But when you look at the portal, I think that the portal is very, very helpful, because I think a lot of practitioners who I speak with, they might not necessarily know about dosing of certain nutrients. And the portal, I think, is so helpful with saying that the lowest amount of a dose that they would include, or the highest amount, and then there'll be a standard dose, you know, so it just gives you that ballpark. So it's helpful from that, in that regard as well. And then they'll have, you know, the eye that you click on will take you to a monograph on the new, I mean, it's learning as well. It's a great education here too. Probiotics, you know, again, you know, you're not suggesting all these different separate bottles of supplements. You know, the probiotics you can add, the digestive enzymes can be added here. So it's just, it's a great tool to use, and patients love it too, as Lydia said.
So we're happy to walk you through this. We have it organized by condition. We've developed protocols for you. So if you want to know what we have for skin health, we have it all lined out for you with the standardized dosages. So we really do try to make it easy for you. You always have a dedicated account manager, myself or Carolina. We're very adept at formulating, both healthcare peeps. So, you know, we really have your back. You're really supported in this. And I'd love to go through some of the questions now. When a tester does both the ALCAT and the CNA does the cell science review both with the patient, is this referring to Previ Medica?
So to answer that, it's up to you. It's up to you as the practitioner. Yes, that is one of the benefits that Cell Science Systems offers, is a complimentary appointment to you know, an educational session is what it is, just to review the test results. But you know, we're not giving clinical guidance, you know, to your patients. We're just, you know, doing the education of the test results. So we'll always steer the patient back to you as the ordering practitioner to, of course, customize the nutrition plan and the supplement routine. But yes.
And Damila asks, I have a CNA result. If I click on the VitaminLab link, will the credit automatically be applied? $100 will automatically be applied. When you click on the link, it just takes a couple of seconds. Really, our sign up form is really easy. And then you'll get an email with how to log in. So as soon as you have that, you have the $100 credit. And I'm just kind of keeping eyes on who signed up, and I'll just top it up with that extra $25. But yes, that is an automatic application. So if you have a CNA report, you can use it right away. Could you consider Acromancia for the GLP-1 drugs with the same efficacy? Yeah, so there's some very cool probiotics coming. I was just talking to a doctor in California about this. Acromancia, I personally have to do more research on it, but I know that it does help with insulin resistance, but I don't think it would have the same effect as a GLP-1, partly because GLP-1s have a pretty amazing effect, to be honest. Do you know anything about acromantia?
Yeah, I know acromantia. There's a lot of good webinars that are being offered, but Pendulum is one of the
Pendulum, that's it.
One of the companies that is running some really helpful webinars on acromantia and its effect on weight and their products, of course, their weight and their glucose sensitivity and glucose regulation. Dr. Hyman has some good podcasts about that as well. So yeah, I mean, we've been using that a lot in our patients as well.
Mm-hmm. Stephen or Dr. Waters asks, how does GLP-1 affect neurotransmitter and brain function? From my understanding, you get less of a dopamine response when you eat sugary and high-fat foods. So it's less, the reward pathways aren't as stimulated as strongly when you're eating those foods. So people are kind of meh, kind of take it or leave it with them. But really, a lot of the GLP-1 effects are on the hypothalamus and brainstem. So really like primitive food drive responses are tempered with these medications. I don't even think that we fully have a grasp on how this all works. But yes, that's my understanding, that it's a hypothalamic effect. I'm not sure you can answer this. Love what you do. What point do you know you can stop the vitamins? And how do we know when they stop? They won't have deficiencies again, who's been really doesn't want to spend to retest. That's a good question. That's where you can book an appointment with me, because I do like to review patient cases, and I don't want to just have a blanket response for that type of question. That, like, book in with your account manager, because we can discuss patient cases. I actually love discussing patient cases. It's very, very fun for me. Because yeah, you can find a happy medium there, because I do understand there are budgetary concerns, of course. So we can get creative. We can look at their diet and kind of see what might be missing in that sense. If Rupa Health is used for labs, do you still get the formula summary in the report? You know what? We've had difficulty with Rupa Labs giving summary reports. That's the honest truth. I've been doing much back and forth with them, and it still doesn't appear to be fixed. So you may have to use the CSS portal in the interim.
Okay. Yes, that's an issue. Yeah, because it should be. It should be.
Yes. Yeah. And just this week, I was alerted that it's not. When putting all the suggested deficient micronutrients into an all-in-one product, is there a consideration for competitive absorption, morning and evening types? Yeah, there can be. Like, you're not going to mix iron and calcium and things of that nature. But, food is quite a melange of different ingredients, and we are able to assimilate it. So yes, there are some things that aren't amazing together. Certain ionic minerals can compete. But I don't know. What do you think, Amy?
Well, what I was going to say is this is why it's really important for practitioners to be able to alter the formula, because there's only so much that we could tell our programmers to put in the algorithm. So in other words, if calcium is insufficient, if iron is insufficient, they will both be in that formula. So this is why I said, we really need the practitioners to be able to edit. So if you want to remove that iron, remove the iron. And if you want to add, and this is another example, the way I look at the nutrients that are in the green that come out to be sufficient in the test, the way I look at that is, okay, for the last 6 months, then the nutrients, what the patient has been consuming or supplementing with, it's working. So let's say you want to say, well, actually there's beef gelatin in this supplement that they're taking, their multivitamin. I want them to set that aside. Well, what I would say is, well, then you need to take, the nutrients that you're having them set aside and put it into your formula from VitaminLab, right? And so another reason to be able to alter the formula. I got the question this week about an AM blend and a PM blend, and absolutely, there might be some things that you want to be taken at night. You could create 2 different formulas. It doesn't have to all be in one.
That's true. And I do get wary, like, just from personal experience working for VitaminLab, kitchen sink products that have everything in there. When your patient has a lot of deficiencies, oftentimes what that means is absorption isn't happening very well, or there's some gut healing that needs to take place. So sometimes if it looks like if your intuition is saying there's too many ingredients in here, like, again, book a consultation with us. We can help you get it sorted out if you need that help. But yeah, trust that instinct. If it looks like there's too many things going on, do pick out what you think is going to give you your biggest bang for your buck, really address their chief concern, because they're going to be coming to you with some type of issue. So you may pick out the ingredients that you really think are going to move the needle for this patient, because I'm always looking for that too, that efficacy. We really want people feeling better. How can I sign up for VitaminLab? Will they also allocate for vitamins and nutrients that would decrease the others? Not totally clear on the second part of that question, but you can sign up right here, get vitaminlab.com/practitioner. If you Google us, it'll come up and you can sign up. It literally takes a couple of seconds. We'll walk you through a demo and you get your nice little $125 credit. Okay, we talked about CoQ10. Totally, most people don't weigh and measure food. It's a hot mess when people try to tell you what they ate. Who knows? What did you eat last Tuesday? I don't know. I have no idea what I ate last Tuesday. So I think we're all the same, right? What do you recommend for people not wanting to eat, doing low calories from the meds? I always look at what they are eating and I build upon what they're eating. Because I don't really, when you try to turn somebody's world upside down nutritionally and they're on a totally different diet, it never works. It never sticks. In my personal opinion, that never works. So I always look at what they're eating and I tweak what they're eating, and you can fill in the gaps with a VitaminLab product or with the right antioxidants. You might determine, okay, you know what, pomegranate is a really efficacious antioxidant for you. And so you'll recommend they have a little bit of pomegranate juice every single day. So it'll help you using the test. You can pick out what kind of key foods might be good for them and kind of cross reference with what they are eating. But I was also, because I have a very culturally diverse practice, I can't tell somebody from South India to eat a Mediterranean diet. What is that? They're not doing that. So, you know, we have to be culturally sensitive as well. It's metformin a GLP-1. It's not. Muscle loss is a big one. It is. So yes, sarcopenia is huge. So again, looking at those individual amino acids, our branch chain, isoleucine, leucine, and valine. Why not work on reducing levels of ghrelin and improving sensitivity to leptin? Yes, they are trying to develop drugs that do that. I just don't think we've done it. I think it's really hard. So I think that's why GLP-1, actually, my friend Sean was saying that the individual who discovered GLP-1, he's probably winning the Nobel Prize in medicine this year. He would not be surprised if that was happening. So I think it's a tremendous feat that we've even come this far. And I am interested in Zepbound. I've never heard of Zepbound. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but yeah, that's cool. Thank you so much for your questions, everybody. This is great. And I hope you will do case studies. I hope we can work together on this. I love doing research and, you know, seeing before and afters. Like, it's so cool when you run the test with or without VitaminLab. I just think it's awesome. So yeah, if you're not signed up with us, you have absolutely nothing to lose by signing up. There's no obligation. We'll give you a credit to try the product. You can brand it with your label. You can make your CNA results super easy with a click of a button. You can formulate a product or not. You don't have to use this for every patient. Just use this for some, you know, handful of patients a month. You're doing well. Anything else, Amy, for tonight? I don't want to keep people too long, because I think
I understand. No, I think that's it. And don't hesitate to reach out to us at Previ Medica as well if we can be of any help to you.
Okay, so there'll be an email follow up with more information about the credit, how to sign up. We'd love to have you over here at VitaminLab. I truly appreciate you staying with us tonight. Let's help our patients on these GLP-1s. Let's really support them in their metabolism and their zest for life. This is you feeling good when your micronutrients are on point. Okay, thanks everybody. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.